Everything in SEAL training had a lesson. And the lesson here was about hope. This one guy, and in fact it wasn't an officer, it was one of the junior enlisted guys, we all believed that if this one guy, who was up to his neck in mud, if he could sing when he was miserable, when he was up to his neck in mud, cold, wet, miserable, then maybe we could too. In SEAL training we say the only easy day was yesterday. The only easy day was yesterday, because you find out going through SEAL training that just when you got through a day, guess what? Tomorrow is going to be harder. So SEAL training, to give you a sense, this is 1977. All of my instructors are Vietnam vets. And SEAL training is 6 months long. It's in Coronado, California. So for those of you that have been to San Diego, Coronado is right across the Coronado Bridge. You got the Hotel del Coronado. You got the Pacific Ocean. You've got the beautiful beach. And of course, if you go through SEAL training, you'll never look at Coronado the same way again, because you spend 6 months in hell. And so the training is broken down into 3 phases. The first phase is 10 weeks long, and there is really a selection phase, and it goes something like this. You get up at the crack of dawn, you do about 2 hours of calisthenics, you get a short break, then you go do a 4-mile soft sand run, then you get a short break, then you go do a 3-mile open ocean swim, then you get a short break, you put a boat on your head, you run to chow, you come back from chow, you'll run an obstacle course, then you get a short break, then you do another couple hours of calisthenics, and then if you have not screwed up in the course of the day, you'll get to go home about 6 o'clock. If you screwed up, you get another 2 hours of calisthenics. And that's the way the day goes for the next 6 months. And throughout the day, the instructors, again, the Vietnam vet instructors, they are trying to make you quit. They want to find out who is going to be tough enough, mentally and physically tough enough, to be a Navy SEAL. And they didn't want you if you weren't going to be tough. So the first 10 weeks is really the most of the physical part. But then in the second 8 weeks, you learn to dive. You learn to dive the scuba rig and what we call the Drager. It's a closed-circuit breathing apparatus. And then in the third phase, another 10 weeks, you'll learn land warfare. Remember, the acronym SEAL stands for sea, air, and land. So you got to be good in the water, you got to be a good parachutist, and you got to be good as an infantryman, if you will. Well, in the 9th week of SEAL training, if training wasn't hard enough, they have a special week called Hell Week. And Hell Week is 6 days of no sleep, constantly being harassed, constantly being kept cold, wet, and miserable. And you do this for 6 days. And it started, our class started with 110 guys. By the time we get to Hell Week, we're at about 55 guys. But if that wasn't hard enough, on the 4th day of Hell Week, you go down to what's called the mud flats. So in San Diego, the water from Tijuana and the water from San Diego merge, and they create this slough area. And so I would say it's about 3 times the size of this stage. And in the middle of the area, the mud is about 4 feet deep. So when you're sitting down, you're literally up to your neck in mud. Well, by this time, of course, you've been 4 days up with no sleep. Your hands are so swollen because you don't think about it, but when you sleep, your hands kind of relax. But you've been moving your hands for 4 days. Your feet are so swollen you can't get them out of your boots. You can barely move. And then you get down there in the mud, and for hours on end, they have you doing mud relays and mud wrestling, and everything is in the mud. And the mud is cold, and it grabs you, and it holds you, and there's a breeze coming off the ocean that's cold. Well, while we were down there, we had committed some egregious violation of the rules. So they had thrown the entire class, at this point in time, 55 guys, in the mud. And we were kind of 3 rows of guys, and we're in the mud. And I remember the instructor, who unfortunately passed away last year, a great guy. But we're all in the mud, and we're just freezing. And we are caked with mud, and all you can see is kind of the whites of people's eyes. And he comes up, and he's kind of on the dry side, and we're all in the mud. And he says, you guys really look like you're hurt. I really feel sorry for you. I know it's been rough. It's been a rough couple days here. And, I tell you what, we got a little fire going over here. And you could all kind of come out and you get warm by the fire. And I think we got some coffee. We've got some coffee we're brewing here. And I think for those of you guys who like hot chocolate, we got some hot chocolate too. Because, you guys just look like you're having a real tough day. And I feel sorry for you. So I'll tell you what, all you guys, you can all come out of the mud if only 5 of you quit. And that's what they love to do. They were going to pit the class against each other. If only 5 of you quit, then you can all come out of the mud. And so we're lined up in 3 ranks, and the kid next to me says, he doesn't want to be a SEAL anymore. He's starting to head for high ground. And I'm holding him, come on, brother, hold on. And I'm looking down the line. There are a couple more guys that have decided this is it. They don't want to be SEALs anymore. So they are starting to make their way towards the high ground. And then all of a sudden, a guy at the end of the row starts singing. And I remember the instructor running over going, hey, you, stop singing. But he kept singing. Then another guy started singing. And he said, hey, you guys, stop singing. And before long, more guys are singing. Now all the instructors are coming out. They got bullhorns. They're yelling and screaming at us going, you guys stop singing. You're going to stay in the mud all night. But the singing persisted. Everything in SEAL training had a lesson. And the lesson here was about hope. We all believed that if this one guy who was up to his neck in mud, if he could sing, then maybe we could too. All of a sudden, the guys that started heading for high ground, they kind of fell back into formation. We locked arms, and all 55 of us made it through the rest of the night. This lesson about hope. Hope is the most powerful force in the universe. You will all have the opportunity to give somebody hope. Never, ever pass that up.